You know, I've been wondering what I'm going to say about this review for this TNA. Because sometimes TNA hits it right on the mark. They understand exactly what needs to be done. And throughout the show they do great. But other times they act like amnesiacs. They completely forget what the hell are they doing. Or they won't fill in the blanks that really needs to be filled in. Now with this show, we really didn't get like a really bad show. We didn't. But I do have to say this, that I understand, like I've always said, TNA is driven by ratings. But I really believe that what they had done here was not wise. So the opening of the show, showing Samoa Joe, was actually quite good. Dealing with MVP felt very real and organic. Well more interesting than what's going on in WWE. It is. The way that they're letting these guys talk. Look, MVP is more of a street guy. Samoa Joe talks like a street guy. Having these two interact actually makes it feel like it's something from the streets. And I'm not somebody that likes to state it in that respect, but in storytelling it's actually quite good. I feel like that these guys have an actual beef that they want to take care of. So I can say in that respect is actually very good. And throughout tonight, I got that. And the person I really believed amongst everyone there that's being spotlighted the most is Kenny King. Kenny King, baby! Now, I know a lot of people are not fond of Kenny King. They think he's a second-rate hack, some of them. Others think he's not interesting. See it in disrespect, ladies and gentlemen. Normally, we get more older WWE, WCW, ECW coming in, getting the spotlight. This is a guy that originally was from ROH, who is now becoming a TNA guy, and he's being spotlighted when he hadn't been spotlighted before. I find that much more palatable to take. Is he great? No, but he is good. And I'm taking it for what it is. A guy who's not a former promotion guy that we know has been or has done something wrong with the wellness program, or he just wanted something different. So I am happy to see Kenny King being presented. And seeing that Samoa Joe had to face Austin Aries contract versus contract, I was actually very compelled to be watching this. But then, since they did not really fully pull the trigger on it, which is understandable, they don't want to lose either one. I'm alright with it. Brian Hefner got his butt kicked by Bully Ray. Involving him wasn't a bad thing, but I have to say this, that a lot of this would have been better on a pay-per-view. This is how I felt about most of the show. The ending of the show with the 8-man tag, First Blood match, would have been better on a pay-per-view. Austin Aries versus a Samoa Joe, the submission machine, should have been on a pay-per-view. Those particular matches that were really spotlighted really needed it. They really needed it on the pay-per-view. They needed it on Slammiversary. But we didn't get that. And then on top of it, when it came to the triple threat, as I call MVP, the Bobby Lashley, and the Kenny King, I call them the triple threat of professional wrestling. They got their butts kicked for a second time in 2 weeks. Which I really believe wasn't the wisest thing to do. Like I said, this would have been better on the pay-per-view. I would have been able to palate this much better if this was done at Slammiversary, but it was being done here. And I really felt that was a big strike on them. Now, for the things I actually did like about the show, that I really believe are being promoted very well and make it what the hell is going on, which is not a bad thing. Bram versus Willow. Seeing the match was actually good. Bram was actually well presented. And in the end, Bram didn't really win the match, but he didn't really lose it either. Even though a Magnus came in, grabbed, what is it? It looked like a crowbar or something. Or, what is it? Yeah, think like a crowbar or something like that, a small version of it, probably for the ring, hits Willow with it, hits him again, and then hits him again for good measure, and then lays out Willow by choking him behind the neck. Now, what does this mean? Well, we didn't know which direction Bram was going to go. Was he going to fight Willow? Was he going to fight Magnus? Now we know he's not going to fight Magnus. Magnus has now come around to Willow. My hope is that this will be a tag team that we really need. We need tag teams. We're dying for tag teams in TNA. And that leads me straight into the Wolves. I enjoyed the segment with them with the Bully, the MVP of TNA. This segment was actually kind of good. Of course, Davey Richards isn't a great talker. The way he was talking, he seemed very awkward a little bit. For me personally, you could tell me if he's done better promos than that. But I find Eddie Edwards talks way better than Davey Richards. But seeing that they're going to have a match, I'm going, well, two guys that can go in the ring. And to an extent, they did. And Kenny King again was spotlighted, being the mouthpiece of MVP. I didn't have a problem seeing him in that position. And people screaming basically, "Shut up, Kenny," was actually pretty good, even though it was not a big scream. The match with the Wolves was actually very good. In the end, they kicked the hell out of Kenny King. And that also is alright. It still spotlights Kenny King. That is the one I believe is being spotlighted the most in this entire group. And I'm alright with that. Next, the thing that I'm really enjoying. The James Storm and Cowboy Anderson, or Cowboy Kenny, as you want to call it. It was great to see them in the bar. I enjoyed that. And now they're extending on to that part with the bar. And I really believe that Anderson is doing a great job here, making this totally entertaining. I am not complaining about this whatsoever. I enjoyed the segment. I enjoyed him belching at the right moment. That was an epic belch that went along with the storyline where basically James Storm said, I'm about to say Lance Storm. James Storm says, you think this is funny? No. No, I don't. I enjoyed seeing James Storm kick his head off. So now going into Slammiversary, I will be more than happy to see their match. But I do believe it should have some type of stipulation like a bull rope match, maybe a last man standings match. I Quit match is not really that good. But one of those two stipulations wouldn't be bad. Now, the Madison Rayne versus Angelina Love for the Knockouts Championship. I enjoyed this only for one reason. Not because Angelina Love has beautiful breasts I would love to suck on and kiss. I'm not trying to be disgusting and nasty, ladies and gentlemen. As a man, I just see what they're presenting to me. As a over 34-year-old, they're showing sex as much as possible. They're showing a very good-looking woman shaking her butt and wiggling her boobs. So that is the type of thought they're hoping I would have. So that's what we get. But the person that I truly enjoyed in this was Brittany. She didn't do much. She didn't need to do much. I've told you already. Brittany is going to be doing a couple of things. One, she's going to be the creepy lesbian woman that's going after Madison Rayne, and then will eventually get scorned by Madison Rayne, and they will have a feud together. But before that happens, Brittany will eventually be able to get a kiss off on Madison Rayne. I know many people are not fond of Madison Rayne. I know, like the Sleg Daddy would think that she's a goat face. I understand that. But the point of this is, I've said this already, either they're going to go totally hardcore, or they were going to go clearly sexual, as much as possible to give us something interesting for the Knockouts. I would rather see actual storylines, but we still don't have enough women to do that. So they have to do the most shock treatment that is possible. And after the match was over, Madison Rayne was mad at Brittany for not interfering when Brittany did exactly as she said. So the question is going to be, what will Brittany do next? I do believe eventually Brittany will do something sexual with Madison Rayne by kissing her. That will be the sexuality bit. And after that, she'll probably beat the hell out of her and they'll have the actual feud, which Brittany does need. So I'm okay with that. Another segment that I'm actually kind of confused about, but I want to see where it's going to lead. Samuel Shaw and Gunner. I really have no clue where they're going with this. I still believe that Gunner and Samuel Shaw will become a tag team. I do not believe they're going to have a feud, at least not immediately. I do still believe there's a possibility that 1, they'll become a tag team. 2, Gunner could become Samuel Shaw's manager. And they will go from there. So seeing the White Room and Gunner continually working with him makes some sense. But I'm hoping this will go to a tag team or a manager type of position before they actually have a feud. Because if they just have a feud with this, it really didn't make any sense. Why would Gunner do this knowing 100% full well that Samuel Shaw is going to turn on him anyway? So, I'm hoping they don't go there. Finally, Dixie Carter dealing with MVP. This just makes no sense right now. Unless Dixie Carter is going to bring in more wrestlers to deal with MVP, then it would make some sense why she's continually interacting with MVP. Because it didn't work in the beginning of the night. Sorry for the music outside. They're playing music. It's nearly the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I don't really care about that. But essentially, when it comes to this, if Dixie Carter's not bringing in actually new talent to deal with MVP's triple threat group, this really makes no sense, particularly at the end of the show when she says, "You're going to suffer. You're going to pay for making my nephew bleed. He has my blood in him." So essentially, if another faction is going to be formed or more people will come in, this would make sense with a Dixie Carter. But I'm just not seeing it and I'm getting tired of her. So how do I rate this show? I'm going to say this. As I said in the beginning of this review, TNA can hit dead on, or they can be amnesiacs and excuse me, allergies, can completely go off the rails. In this respect, the only thing they went off the rails with was the main event and the contract versus contract match. I really believe they should have put that on the pay-per-view. That would have been more compelling to look at than here. But as I said before, they care about ratings more than anything else. So, other than that, most of the show flowed pretty well. I love how Anderson did his work. I love that, really, Kenny King is being spotlighted, no matter if anyone likes him or not. He's not a WWE, WCW, ECW guy. He's totally different, and he's being spotlighted as basically a loose cannon. I'm enjoying that. The Wolves were spotlighted. Madison Rayne dealing with Brittany. Brittany is being spotlighted here, and this is what I hope for TNA, that they spotlight the places they need to and go away from the places they did. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane view. Please give me a comment below. Give me a thumbs up so people can see me more. And I hope to see you soon. And I am considering maybe starting to do SmackDown reviews again. But to be honest, the Raw Rewinds turn me off. But I'm still considering it. Peace up!